Welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Matt.
And I'm Karen. Today we have a lesson called Sun Blocking Bubbles. And I love bubbles. Look. Do you see a lot of bubbles in the air? I love playing with bubbles. Watch again.
I don't think it's about those kind of bubbles, Karen. It's called sun blocking bubbles. How do these block the sun?
I guess you're right, but I know sun blocking bubbles. Maybe putting sunblock on the bubbles.
The bubbles?
Yeah, you can kind of just like, put a little bit of sunblock, which is a sunscreen on the bubbles, but why would you want to do that?
I don't think that's it. You know what? I think I know what it's about.
What is it about?
So sometimes when I go to the beach, sometimes I ride a U-bike out to the beach and I put my bag with my sunscreen in it in the basket on the front, and when it's riding, it shakes around a lot. Sometimes when I get to the beach and take out my sunscreen, there's lots of bubbles in it. So when I put these on, there's sometimes some bubbles in the sunscreen, and these bubbles block the sun.
That doesn't sound right at all. I don't think you're right.
Wow, these are sun-blocking bubbles.
Really? I wonder if I'm right or you're right.
Well, I guess, we're gonna have to read to find out that I'm right.
No,
so,
that I'm right. Wow, look at the bubbles. Okay, let's read the article and find out what sun-blocking bubbles are.
Global warming is one of the most serious problems facing our planet today, and we seem to be running out of time to solve it. Scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, however, believe they may have a clever solution: space bubbles. Made of a thin reflective material, a space bubble would be capable of bouncing some of the sun's energy away from Earth. If thousands were linked together and placed far out in space between Earth and the sun, they could reduce temperatures enough to stop the effects of global warming.
welcome back. So today we're talking about sun-blocking bubbles, and I'm still curious about what these sun-blocking bubbles might be.
I'm right. Blowing bubbles, like blowing bubbles in the park.
Okay, well, I guess we'll find out.
Okay, let's read on and find out. Global warming is one of the most serious problems facing our planet today. Oh, okay. I guess I'm not right.
Wow, I might be right still.
They are talking about global warming, right?
So you need their sunscreen to block the bubbly sunscreen. Maybe it does a better job.
I don't know. Okay. And we seem to be running out of time to solve it. And that is definitely true because we know it's a very, very big problem right now. So even the things that we're doing right now to help our Earth, it has very little effects.
Yeah, so we need to find new ways to solve this problem. Scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, however, believe they may have a clever solution: space bubbles.
Space bubbles. Okay, so when you say clever solution, that means like a smart way of solving this problem, right?
Smart idea, yeah. So I'm already very interested because space bubbles, let's just imagine, huge bubbles in space. And
yes.
It sounds very exciting.
Because I love bubbles, but now we're having this bubble in space? Okay, let's learn more. Made of a thin, reflective material, a space bubble would be capable of bouncing some of the sun's energy away from Earth. Okay. I'm not sure if I can totally understand it yet, right?
Right, but some of the energy doesn't get through the bubble because it's bouncing away and not coming to Earth. So.
That's right. And then we have this vocabulary over here, capable, and that is an adjective. So capable basically just means the ability, having the ability to do something or having the power or skill to do something. So for example, my new cell phone is capable of playing all the latest games. That means I am able to play all the latest games on this new phone. So whereas if I use my old phone, maybe I wasn't capable of doing that.
That's right, then that phone would be incapable.
That's right. That's the opposite of capable.
So another vocabulary word is bounce. Bounce is when an object, usually a round object like a ball, is when it moves quickly away from a surface after hitting it. So you might think of, in a basketball game, you need to bounce the ball as you run.
That's right.
So our example sentence says, he bounced the ball off the wall and caught it before it hit the ground.
Okay.
If thousands were linked together and placed far out in space between Earth and the Sun, they could reduce temperatures enough to stop the effects of global warming. So it says they're linked together, which means they're connected somehow, maybe forming some type of a chain of these bubbles.
That's right.
So they'll have many of these bubbles to help surround the Earth, I think.
So then there will be the sun, and then the earth, and then we have a lot of bubbles in between, right? And then these bubbles can kind of help with the effects of the global warming or slow down, right?
Yeah, they said they can reduce the effects enough to even stop the effects of global warming. So
That's a really, really interesting idea. Now we know global warming is like, the temperature of the earth is rising, but it's not only that, because it also causes a lot of other problems too, right? It's extreme climate change, and a lot of places the climate is changing, and even natural disasters are happening around the world because of global warming, maybe like droughts, floods, and stuff like that.
yeah, one of the side effects of global warming is this extreme weather that we've been seeing in some places in the last few years. Yeah, with some places having droughts and other places having flooding. So quite the opposite in different places.
Exactly, like in the Arctic Circle, like the polar bears are losing their home because the ice is melting as well because of global warming. So a lot of problems, but we are trying to figure out if the space bubble would help our situation right now. So how about let's take a short break and we'll be back for more.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。大家都知道，全球暖化是个严重的问题，它对我们的影响已经不容忽视。那么，麻省理工学院的科学家想出一个聪明的解决方法，那就是太空气泡。太空气泡是一种用薄的反光材料制成，能够反射太阳的一些能量，让这些能量远离地球。好，那如果有数千个气泡连接在一起，并且摆在地球和太阳之间的遥远太空中，也许呢就可以降低温度到足以阻止全球暖化的影响。我们来看单字 capable 是形容能够怎么样的，有能力的。那 be capable of 加上名词或动名词，就可以表达能够怎么样，有能力做某事。我们在 capable 前面加上否定字首 in， 变成 incapable， 那就是形容不能的，无法胜任的。再来看到 bounce， 它可以表达反射、反弹、弹起，表达说可能使声音啊、光反射，这样使什么反弹。好，那我们刚刚说到全球暖化的影响 ，Karen 老师就有提到北极圈的冰层融化，使北极熊逐渐失去了栖身之地。好，老师说的 Arctic Circle 就是北极圈。这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看第一个重点是名词加上 VING 或是 PP， 也就是分词片语的用法。那我们的形容词子句呢，可以简化成分词片语，也就是省略主格关系代名词，再把动词改分词。那表示主动或进行的时候，我们就用现在分词 VING； 被动的话就用过去分词 PP。举例来说 ，They visited a castle which was built in the 16th century。他们参观一座建于16世纪的城堡。那我们看到句子里面 which was built in the 16th century， 这是形容词子句。那你可以把 which was built 简化成 built， 就变成 They visited a castle built in the 16th century。那有没有看到这时候 a castle 这个名字后面就是接过去分词 built。好，再看第二个重点是 if 引导与现在事实相反的假设句。那它的句型是 if 主词加上 were 或者是过去式动词点点点逗号，主词加上 would、could、might 或是 should 再加原形动词。那就特别注意咯 if 子句里面的动词用过去式。那如果你要用 be 动词的话，无论人称一律都用 were。那么主要子句则是要用 would、could、might 或是 should 去搭配原形动词。举例来说 ，If I were you, I wouldn't buy that dress。如果我是你啊，我不会买那件洋装了。好，那再看一个例句是 If she had more free time, she might take up painting。如果她有更多空闲时间，她可能会开始学绘画。但现在的事实就是她没有那么多空闲时间。好，那我们接着回到课文中。
Of course, as with any project of this size, there is the danger of unintended consequences. The great advantage of this idea, though, is that if something did go wrong, one would simply need to pop the bubbles to make the shield disappear. For now, the project is still a work in progress, but scientists at MIT have already succeeded in inflating a 0.0005 millimeter thick bubble that is stable at temperatures of minus 50 degrees Celsius. Therefore, in theory, it is possible. If successfully completed, this space bubble shield could buy us the time required to make some much-needed changes to our energy habits.
Welcome back. So before the break, we learned that space bubbles are in fact not the bubbles you blow at the park, but are actually a project from scientists at MIT that want to develop some bubbles that are in space that help to protect the Earth from the rays of the sun.
That's
and actually
right.
can help to reduce or maybe even stop the effects of global warming.
But it does sound kind of fun though, right? Having bubbles in space, right?
Yeah, I think it sounds quite interesting and exciting.
Well, let's learn more. Of course, as with any project of this size, there is the danger of unintended consequences because nobody really knows it's something that's brand new. Nobody really understands what is going to happen. There could be danger, right?
It's talking about unintended consequences. So consequence is a result or effect and is usually one that is unpleasant or unwanted. So usually you don't talk about this as something good that can happen. It's the something bad that could happen.
That's right.
So I've considered the consequences and decided it's worth the risk. So the chances of something happening badly or something unwanted happening are not great enough that this person has considered that they still want to do it.
That's right. Okay, well, let's continue.
The great advantage of this idea, though, is that if something did go wrong, one would simply need to pop the bubbles to make the shield disappear.
Because they are bubbles, right? Of course, you have bubbles, you can just pop them.
That sounds like a lot of fun, actually, to get to pop the
Exactly.
space bubbles.
And then you say, yeah, well, one of the advantages, right? The advantage is a noun. Basically, just stand a better chance at something or having the upper hand. So, for example, you could say that, you know, she has the advantage in getting the job because she speaks many different languages. Or one of the advantages of the school is how close it is to my house. So maybe I'm thinking about looking at different schools around the neighborhood, but this one is very close to my house. So that's an advantage.
For now, the project is still a work in progress. But scientists at MIT have already succeeded in inflating a 0.0005 millimeter thick bubble that is stable at temperatures of minus 50 degrees Celsius.
That's amazing. So it's 0.0005 millimeters, right?
Yeah.
Thick. So that is actually very, 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 very thin, I would imagine, right?
That sounds, yes, very, very thin. So it is a real bubble that you can maybe easily pop. And it's stable at minus 50 degrees Celsius.
That's right. And stable, that is an adjective. When you describe something as stable, it basically just means it's firm, it's fixed, it doesn't just suddenly change like very high or very low. It stays about the same level. So for example, Bruce would rather be in a stable relationship than an exciting one. So when you're describing a relationship as something stable, that means, you know, like you're usually quite happy with this person, and then every day you can expect, you know, what's going to happen. But, you know, rather than an exciting one, maybe you fight one day and then the next day you make up and then the next day you break up. That would be an exciting
Always
one.
changing. I mean, you know,
Exactly.
more exciting.
Okay, let's continue. Therefore, in theory, it is possible. If successfully completed, this space bubble shield could buy us the time required to make some much needed changes to our energy habits. Okay, so I guess I like this idea
So it
though.
can buy us some time. So it means to give us more time, to allow us some extra time so that we can make these changes, because I think it will take a while for people to become totally environmentally friendly and so that we can slow down global warming.
That's right. Okay, so after learning so much about space bubbles and how it can help us, we do have a question for everyone. So the question is, do you think space bubble technology should be used to slow global warming? Why or why not? How about you go first?
Okay, yeah, I think if it's effective, I mean, we have yet to see that, but of course, if it's effective and can slow global warming, then yeah, I think it should be used because it could help our Earth and then help us avoid things like extreme weather.
Exactly. And I have to say that I do agree with you too. I mean, just the idea of having space bubbles, I think that sounds really exciting. That's number one. But number two, we need to understand how effective that is going to be. Right now, I think everything is we're just thinking about it, learning about the concept of it, but putting it actually in place, it might not be so easy, but I would love to see something like that happen. Or maybe we could have like a space bubble amusement park.
Ooh.
That would be a lot of fun, eh?
I think that would be fun. Okay. And I hope if they need to pop the bubbles, I'll do that job. Popping the space bubbles.
I want to do that too. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for today, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
要在遥远太空中放太空气泡，这当然有可能会有意想不到的后果。不过这个想法最大的优点是，如果真的出问题的话，只需要把气泡爆破就可以让防护罩消失。目前呢，这项工程还在进行中。不过麻省理工学院的科学家已经成功的充气一个0.0005毫米厚的气泡，它在摄氏零下50度也能呈现出稳定的状态。所以理论上来说，这是有可能的哦。如果顺利完成，那这种太空气泡防护罩也许可以为我们争取到一些时间。我们最后来看单字 consequence， 它是名词，表示后果、结果或是影响。Matt 老师提到 consequence 通常是指不好的后果，这时候老师他用到 unpleasant， 在 pleasant 前面加上 un 构成这个形容词，表示令人不愉快的、不舒服的。还有提到 unwanted， 则是形容不想要的、多余的。好，下一个单字 advantage， 它是表达优点、好处或是优势、有利条件。Karen 老师他用到 the upper hand， 这是指上风或是优势，我们可以用 have the upper hand 去表达占上风的意思。再来看到 stable， 它是形容词，形容稳定的、稳固的。好，以上是今天的讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。
Global warming is one of the most serious problems facing our planet today, and we seem to be running out of time to solve it. Scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, however, believe they may have a clever solution: space bubbles. Made of a thin reflective material, a space bubble would be capable of bouncing some of the sun's energy away from Earth. If thousands were linked together and placed far out in space between Earth and the Sun, they could reduce temperatures enough to stop the effects of global warming. Of course, as with any project of this size, there is the danger of unintended consequences. The great advantage of this idea, though, is that if something did go wrong, one would simply need to pop the bubbles to make the shield disappear. For now, the project is still a work in progress, but scientists at MIT have already succeeded in inflating a 0.0005 millimeter thick bubble that is stable at temperatures of minus 50 degrees Celsius. Therefore, in theory, it is possible. If successfully completed, this space bubble shield could buy us the time required to make some much-needed changes to our energy habits.
And I'm Toi.
And today we're playing a game called Word Drop, where we each have 3 cards with words or phrases on them that we have not seen yet, and we're going to work them into a casual conversation. So are you ready, Toi?
I am.
All right, why don't you get started?
Yep. I love traveling. One of the places I've traveled to this year was the Brazilian Amazon. And I really thought it was really cool. We stayed at this floating lodge because the water changes, like the water level in the rainforest changes about 60 meters between seasons. Like it's a lot of water, and so the lodge goes up and down with the water levels, and I think that is one of the greatest advantages of such a property, like a floating lodge.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've never been to such a place, but I imagine it's very fun. I think usually I haven't been to such exciting locations before. Usually when I take vacations or trips, usually they're just kind of in town and we just go to random venues or other places that I haven't been before. Like for instance, recently I went to a trampoline park where we got to jump around on a bunch of trampolines, and it's pretty fun because you can jump a lot higher than you might normally, jump just on the normal floor. So yeah, it's pretty fun to bounce on the trampoline.
Yeah, like I've been to one of those places before, and for me, I tend to get tired really quickly on those trampolines because I end up using my legs a lot more than I would imagine. Like, you think trampolines are fun, but bouncing for so long, the consequence of that is you just get tired.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely needs, you need a lot of physical strength to bounce on the trampoline, because if you don't use any strength, you don't really go anywhere. You can just lie down on it, right? I saw some people brought their kids, and the kids usually have a lot of energy, but sometimes they'll just lie down on the trampoline and let other people bounce around them, and then the kid is bounced up and down by the other people. But it is a little dangerous, so they don't recommend doing that. They say usually you should just have one person per trampoline. But if you want to be able to jump high, you have to be capable of doing that.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, you really need the strength to be able to bounce higher. I would say that is a much needed requirement for going to a trampoline place.
I would say that the only thing though with trampoline parks is that it's very easy to run out of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trampoline parks are fun, but tiring.
Very tiring.